Hello, hello, hello. I am so happy to see all of your smiling faces. Again, I'm Sheila Anderson, host of Weekend Jazz Overnight and Salon Sessions at WBGO. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be anywhere, as I said to Dave. I mean, I really am. But we have a great hour coming, and I want you to know that if you feel like clapping, stomping your foot or whatever, when you feel the music, let them know how much you're enjoying the music, because it's going to be a great hour of music. I'm going to talk with Stephen for a little bit. We're going to start with the music. Please give it up for Stephen Bernstein and Sexmob. Thank you.
Well, I had this big idea, like we'd be really professional because this is exactly what Newcott does not want me to do. Okay. But I'm doing it. So anyone's ever seen us before? No, we don't have set lists in this band. And we are the 5th longest running band in jazz history. But tonight we're gonna have a set list. Well, we haven't put it together because my big idea was we were gonna put it together after we talk. But that's okay, that's okay. No, we'll do Club Pythagorean. Any
Good, I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, okay. We'll ask about it afterwards, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And also, check this out. Look how pretty this is. Very first time out. This is a one of a kind. For WBGO, I bring out for the first time.
Oh, right.
And any Stone Cold Pythagoreans in the room?
I was.
You were a Pythagorean?
I was.
Right on. Well, I believe it. And we're all Pythagoreans. We just don't quite realize it yet.
Yeah. All right. Yes. Come on, you could do better than that. Whoa. All right, Stephen Bernstein.
Thank you, Sheila.
Like, what are you doing hiding, man? Here,
What
there.
can I say?
I know. Okay, so we have a few minutes. I have a few questions for you. Number one, first, congratulations on your new CD.
Thank you.
And 25 years?
27 years.
27 years.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Same four guys, 27 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Fifth longest running jazz band in history.
Okay, so why did you even start the band and the name? Really,
okay.
We got to know.
Okay. Here's the story. So this instrument here, the slide trumpet, right? You see, it's not really a real instrument. Though I do have a Yamaha slide trumpet that was made for the guy, the late Fred Mills of the Canadian Brass, and it was a beautiful handmade Yamaha slide trumpet. But I'm not playing it today. So I had this instrument that I played, and I just would kind of mess around with it, and but people always reacted well to it. I had a very natural way to play it. I didn't practice it. I would just pick it up and play it. But I noticed every time I played it, people really reacted well. And like you could feel it. You know what I'm saying? You could feel it. And my friend Dave Douglas, who I'm sure many of you know, who is a very like kind of focused person, one day after our first tour in Europe together, we weren't together on the road, but we were both as leaders for the first time, and we're sitting drinking beers afterwards. And he looks at me, he goes, "Why don't you practice that thing?" And I said, "Okay, that's a good idea." So I said, like, why don't I practice it? And I said, well, then I had an idea, like, why don't I put together a band where I only play this instrument, right? Now, I'd met this guy, Brigham Krause, here in Seattle in 1993, January 93, right? Because Rex was born December 92. Yeah, believe me, it's true. Kenny I'd known since he was a teenager in Aptos. His parents were a bunch of recycled milk cartons. It's an old hippie. It's an old hippie joke. It's an old hippie joke. But I'd actually known Kenny for a very long time, and I met Tony around the corner at Museum of Modern Art. Right, we were doing a gig, and I had actually never played with a bass player who played like that. And I still have never played with a bass player who played like that. But at the time, I was like, wow, man, this guy is something. And he said to me, "Man, I really like the way you play the slide trumpet." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, man." I said, "Well, I'm thinking about starting a band where I only play the slide trumpet." He said, "I'll be in that band." Because that's how it all starts. So I got these guys. Now, my friend Michael Dorff, he runs the Knitting Factory. And we're all just friends the same age. And he says to me, "Hey, Steven, I'm starting a thing called the Late Night Hang, and you can play, you can do whatever you want, I'll give you a weekly gig, pay you $100 and all the beer you can drink." And okay, so I said, "Well, I have an idea." I said, I'm trying to think of a band where I'm starting a band. I hadn't really started yet, but in my mind, I was starting this band where I only play the slide trumpet. And he said, "Yeah, man, if that's what you want to do." Back then, you used to put an ad in the Village Voice. He said, "What do you want to call it?" I said, "Let's call it Stephen Bernstein's Slide Trumpet Quartet." He says, well, that sounds like 4 slide trumpets. I said, "Okay." I said, "How about Stephen Bernstein's Slide Mob?" He goes, "Great." And just because we're friends and we're kind of like, I said, "How about Stephen Bernstein's Sexmob?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "You put that in the Village Voice?" Now, I didn't realize that 28 years later, I'd still be like dealing with this. I just thought so that's how it all started. Was that a short enough story for you?
But it's a good one. It's a good one. I mean, I thought you were going to say, because that's sexy, and we're all sexy, and, the chicks are all over us. Anyway.
I like the way you're thinking, though. I like the way you're thinking.
Well, I guess, what can I tell you? I'd share too much. But we're here to talk about you. So the songs, I love the songs, the name of the songs on your recording. Again, Club Pythagorean. I'm like, oh, am I back in high school? I know, right? But you also have Fletcher Henderson. Actually, well, tell us what we heard, the first song, because we didn't say what you heard.
The first song is, we always start with this song. Well, we always start with this song or another song, but usually we start with this song, and it's called Holiday of Brigand, and it's just kind of our way. I learned this from the Art Ensemble Chicago. You kind of have a ritual to start. And that way, you can just feel the vibrations of the room, feel the vibrations of the people, because if you always do the same thing, you feel like, well, how the vibration's coming out today. So we always start with that song, and then we went into a song called Lawnmower. That's from the new record. And then we went into Club Pythagorean. Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to hear more music. We'll talk again later. Yeah. But before we hear music, can you please give a proper introduction to the Sexmob, and then let us know what we're going to hear.
Okay. And I'm going to sit. Okay, you sit down. Thank you very much, Sheila. Sheila Anderson, ladies and gentlemen. WBGO. On drums, his parents are not recycled material, but he himself is made of recycled material. The incredible Mr. Kenny Wallison. Never have I played with a bass player like this man. Even today I haven't. The incredible Mr. Tony Scher on the bass. And there would be no Sexmob without this guy. This whole band's like just an organism. And I met him those are nice shoes too, by the way. I met him in Seattle in 1993. Like I said, January '93. We did a little gig. I was out there doing a gig with the fine Karamazov brothers, a theater gig. We booked a little. Someone said, "Oh, there's a great young alto player you dig," and he shows up, and he's got these beautiful Doc Martens, black Doc Martens, and they are like polished. And he's obviously taken his toothbrush along the side of it, and so all the stitching is just like perfect. And I was like, I like this guy. He got the gig because of those Doc Martens. Briggen Krause on the alto saxophone. By the way, my wife hates these shoes. These are purple corduroy Doc Martens, okay? I mean, how often do you see purple corduroy Doc Martens? I just got these. Okay. And now I'm going to tell the band we're going to play, which we usually don't do, and we're doing this because I have so much respect for Nuke. We'll do Hit the Dirt. Then we'll do King Tang, Kenny Dope. Then we'll do Ellington. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to surprise you guys. Then we'll do the Nina Rota. And if there's time, we'll do Banachek or Pepper Pot. Pull up Banachek. No, then we'll do Banachek, and then we'll talk, and then we'll do Pepper Pot. All right? Hit the Dirt, Kenny Dope, King Tang, same song. Ellington, Nina Rota, Banachek if there's time, talk, Pepper Pot. Okay, we're gone legit. This is for you. Okay.
All right, come on. Stephen Bernstein and Sexmob. Give him a round of applause. All right, one more time. Steve Bernstein and Sexmob. All right. I read in your bio that you're from Berkeley, California, but I don't believe it. Come on over here. Yeah, please, because this is some New Orleans stuff happening up here.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Well, yeah, it is. But you have to understand, Berkeley, a lot of people moved to Berkeley and Oakland from New Orleans and Texas. So we have a whole thing happening in Berkeley. Sly and the Family Stone, Edwin Hawkins Singers. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We got our own funk in Berkeley. So, and not only that, I went to Black Panther summer camp. You dig? Yeah, even my friends from Queens are like, okay, wow. No, that's how, and Malcolm X Elementary School. That's just how we roll in Berkeley. That's just the way it is. And it's just the way it is. Yeah, she knows. It was an amazing, we grew up, no, we were really children of the revolution, and we really thought it was, and it's actually a more beautiful world than we give it credit for, because I know we look around sometimes and see all the things that are upsetting us, but I always try to explain to people, if you think about where this country was 40 years ago, we're not in a perfect place, but it's a lot better than it was then. So that's what I have to say. Okay. I didn't mean to preach, but I did.
No, preach. It's okay. You're allowed. I'm not, but you are. People that know me know I can get on my soapbox. But talk about your new CD, Hard Way, and again, some of the songs, the titles, like, Banachek. I was like, George Peppard. I used to love that show. But and so just talk about, 'cause you also have Fletcher Henderson, which very much resembles, the Fletcher Henderson sound. So talk about it.
Well, all the titles came later. It was actually, we've been making records with Scott Harding since we started making records 26 years ago. He's a great friend of ours, a great producer, and he really actually helped shape the sound of this band. And, because he really, now it's a little more common to hear, jazz bands where they kind of push the sound. And for so long, when you heard a jazz record, it was actually just a reproduction of what you heard in a room. And while, funk music and rock music and all the Beatles and all this stuff and Sly, all these people were pushing the studio, jazz musicians, except for Miles and Bitches Brew, in general, people took it a little easy on the studio. But Scott just pushes things all the way to the edge. And we've been talking for a long time. As we all get older, you start to think about, wow, we better do things now, right? That's what happens when you get older. And Scott and I have been saying, we got to make another record together. And he had this idea. He said, listen, man, I'm going to send you loops. And we're going to start with that. And you're going to write on top of the loops. Now, that song, Fletcher Henderson, was an 8-minute long, I call it like a hip-hop music concrete. It was an 8.5-minute song, and he had taken a drum machine with a speed control on it. So at one point, you hear like this, and it goes, and then it gets faster, and it goes that for a while. He slows it down, and so that piece, I actually wrote a whole piece over the the whole 8.5 minutes. Sometimes it might just be a loop of a drum beat. Sometimes it might be something with some harmony in it. So that's what it started with. It started with him bringing us those loops. Then I wrote compositions. Then we did what Sexmob always does. Now, most people, when they do a record, they say, I want this record to sound really good. Like, I'm not concerned with that at all. I've made records that sound good by accident, but what I'm really interested in is finding the moment where, like, everyone just finds something for the first time and capturing that. That's just my personal philosophy. So I like to do that. So I'll tell you, basically every record we've ever done, I just hand them a piece of paper and it's like, go. And these are pretty much first takes full of all kinds of mistakes and all kinds of things. But you hear that moment of jazz musicians of a band reacting to each other because we're doing it for the first time. And that, to me, is the magic. Like, that's the stuff only musicians who've been playing together as long as we have can do. Anyone can learn to play well. It's not that hard. You just have to practice. But, the other stuff, the mystery, that's what I'm really interested in. So then we get the mystery, and we added some stuff to it. And then Scott, he even goes farther in it. He starts cutting things around and moving things around. I'm listening to things, and I look at the sheet music I wrote, and I said, wait a second, that phrase started on the second beat. He'll have moved it to the first beat. Scott will do anything. And so that's what this record is. It's I think a very unique sounding record. And I have a friend, Hal Wilner. I gotta give a shout out to Hal because Hal is the only, we have friends here, Hal's the only person in the world who's been dead for 3 years and can give you gifts all the time. That's having long arms. Your arms have to be really long to do that. So we're going on the road with Laurie Anderson in 2 weeks. And that's a gift from Hal Wilner. And that's Laurie's first tour with a band in decades, like 3 decades, I think. Because Hal's Memorial, she played with us, and she called me up, and she goes, wow, I've never experienced music like that. She goes, would you guys be interested in playing with me? And we're like, yeah. Yeah. And then Hal, there's an art gallery in Chicago called Corbett versus Dempsey. And they also curate books and records. And they had released Hal's very first record he had ever done, which is a great drummer named Beaver Harris. Some of you might know that name. He was long gone. But, and they put out his records, and I was trying to figure, like, where does a new Sexmob record go, you know? And I sent it to them, and the next morning, they were like, we'll put this out in a heartbeat. So this record is sitting there next to Hal Willner, next to Don Cherry, next to Sun Ra, next to Lester Bowie, next to Van Dyke Parks, and I kind of feel like that's where we should be at this point, you know? Yeah. So yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna hear another song, but I just have to say I love this. Stephen Bernstein, Sexmob have given themselves one task: to make modern jazz fun, says Pop Matters, and I think they captured that. What do you think? Enjoy them? Thank you. Whew. I can listen to you all night, but you know what? You can if you get the CD, the recording. Oh!
Wait, and we have a record release show, because this is going to be next week on May 30th at Fotografskia, which is a museum, an art museum. I said, why not have a record release at an art museum? So May 30th, and the next day we go on the road with Laurie Anderson. So catch us now before we're superstars. We won't even look at you.
As they say, be there, be square. But I want to thank you all for being here, especially those of you who are just tuning in for the first time to this incredible, incredible band, Steve Bernstein and Sexmob. And I'm Sheila Anderson from WBGO, and I want to acknowledge some people from Yamaha again. Aaron Ross is the sound engineer, and Rob Davidson is the videographer, and also Bonnie and Kiana and Mike. Give Yamaha a big round of applause for a sponsor. So Yamaha in New York. Aha. I must be specific, in New York. And we are WBGO, housed in Newark, New Jersey, at 54 Wayne Shorter Way. Yay! 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 And I just want to acknowledge the newest member of the WBGO family. Yes, Undine. I'm going to give you a shout out. Undine Landa Averson. Yay! Love you. We go way back. But welcome to the BGO family. It's great to have you here. And also John Newcott. Oh, I see John. Hey, I forgot John Newcott. Jonathan Shameen is taking photos. Yay. He takes good photos of me, so I love when he's around. And also, I want to acknowledge, again, Carmen Ballantyne, and also, let's see, also can't forget Stephen Smith, who was our Chief Content Officer, and our President and CEO, Stephen A. Williams. So I want to make sure, and thank you all for supporting WBGO. Without you, no us. And again, we're going to hear another song from Stephen Bernstein.
Let's give a little jazz history right here.
Okay.
This song is called Pepper Pot. Do you know what a pepper pot is? Anyone here know pepper pot? Well, Dickie Wells, the great trombone star with Count Basie, he had a mute, and it was full of holes, and it had a crazy sound, and he used to stick like old like cigarettes in there, and like, you know, all kinds of stuff, and it had a really bizarre sound, and he called it the pepper pot mute, and so this is called Pepper Pot.
All right, give it up one more time. Steve Bernstein and Sexmob. Thank you all very much.